All right, guys, so let's start with notes 1-5. We're going to be solving inequalities. We have a definition there at the top. It's pretty important to know. An inequality is the relation between two expressions or two equations that are not equal. So something might be bigger or smaller than something else. We're also going to be graphing some today, so you need to pay attention. It's a pretty important day. Other than that, we're going to be doing the same sort of stuff we've been doing the last few days, so I hope you've been practicing. Says an inequality will include one of the following symbols. You've seen these before, really not that hard to understand. We have the less than symbol and the greater than or more than symbol. Then you have the less than or equal to symbol and the greater than or equal to. So I could say, like, I have 5 apples, you have 5 or more apples, that would be greater than or equal to. One thing is going to pop up that's a little funny. When we're solving these equations, because we'll be solving them just like we have been, when you solve inequalities this way, when you're multiplying and dividing by a negative number, and you probably want to understand negative number, write it there so you remember, you're going to have to flip the inequality, okay? It's kind of a weird thing, but it's not a very hard thing to do. You just have to remember to do it. So we'll see one of those here in just a minute, and I'll make sure you see it. So let's try a couple of these real quick. You're going to notice at first that it's going to be exactly like what we've done. It says solve each inequality, and then there's a number line below it. We're going to graph it in just a minute. So first, we have to solve it. So that's exactly what we've been working on. Hold on, let me move this down just a little more. There we go. So all I need to do on the first one, there's only one thing to solve for, that's y. Now I do have an inequality, so I just need to make sure I'm careful if I multiply or divide. But look at the first one. I have plus -2. Well, if I want to move -2 away from y, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Now, I have y over here. The -2 and +2 canceled each other out. Is less than 6 plus 2, which is 8. And that's really all there is to it. We just solved that inequality. Now, I'm going to box that in at the moment. We're going to come back and look at that in just a second. The next one, pretty easy also. -8p is greater than or is bigger than -32. Well, this time I don't have addition or subtraction. It looks like I'm multiplying -8 times p. So to undo that, I've got to divide by what's in front of p. But remember, now we're multiplying or dividing, so we need to be careful because I see that we're dividing by a negative, which means we're going to have to flip this inequality, okay? So let's just do it like normal. The -8 divided by -8 goes away, so I have p. Since I divided by a negative, I'm going to flip it the other direction. That's all you got to do. -32 divided by -8 gives me 4. So I have p is less than 4. So we're going to graph these now. We did the solutions. Again, there's only one thing you got to watch out for, that dividing or multiplying by a negative. We can also graph these. Okay, we're going to use these number lines below. But there's one little notation thing you have to be careful to pay attention to, sorry. If you have less than or greater than, so no equal to, you're going to use an open point. Okay? That's like saying I'm really close to here, but not exactly. Now, if you come over here and you have the less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, we're going to say a closed point. Okay, like I'm actually grabbing that number. I can be that number as well. Okay? So let's go up to our number lines. Now, the way I want you to do this is I want you to put a 0 on there. Just specify 0 so I know negative and positive. And remember, when you go this way, these are your negatives. This way is positive. The next thing I want you to do is take the number that you found, so the 8, and put it on your number line. Okay? Now, what we just talked about below with the open point or closed point comes in now. We are greater, or y is less than 8, so I'm going to put an open circle. Let me undo that. I'm going to put an open circle at 8. But y is less than that. Now, we need to draw an arrow from that point in which direction gives us all the right answers. Now, if 8 is greater than all the y's, then all the y's are going to have to be less than and move in that direction, okay? Now, there's a way to kind of check. If we're saying answers are down here, pick any answer down there, like -2 is down there. Is -2 less than 8? Yes, it is. If you were to pick something out on the other side out here and say 10, is 10 less than 8? No, it's not, so that's the wrong direction, okay? We're going to try p is less than 4. Put a 0. I'm going to put a 4. it's just less than, so open circle, and it's all less than again. Like if I pick one down here like 3, 3 is less than 4. Just watch out for that dividing by negative, and you should be all right. All right, let's go to the next page, guys. Now, this one just says solve and graph each inequality. So it's the same thing we've been doing. All we're going to be doing is solving like normal. Then, in the end, we're going to have to put it on a number line. So let's look at number 3 real quick. I have k divided by negative 4 is greater than 2. Well, we have a fraction here, and we know from the last few days that to get rid of fractions, we multiply by the denominator, negative 4. Well, the negative 4's cancel and leave me k, but remember, and let me change colors here so you can remember, we're multiplying by a negative, so we have to flip the inequality, okay? Don't let that get you. So if I go back over here, now instead of k is greater than, I have k is less than. Well, net 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. So there's our solution. Now I'm going to sketch a number line. I'm going to put 0 on there, and I got negative 8 this time, so it kind of goes over here to the left. Now, this one is just less than, so again, it's an open point, but it says k is less than negative 8, so we're going to go this direction. Say you pick 0. 0 is not less than negative 8, so it must be the other direction, okay? Let's move over to number 4. I need to solve for a in 3a plus 12 is greater than 18. So the first thing I want to look at is get everything away from a. Looks like I can subtract 12 to start this off. These 12s cancel, and I have 3a is greater than 18 minus 12 is 6. Now we have 3a is greater than 6, so we have to divide by 3. We've done this a lot, but we're not dividing by a negative this time. We're just dividing by positive 3. So the 3's cancel here, a is left, and it's greater than 2. So we did not flip because when we divided, it wasn't negative. So there's your answer. Now let's sketch a number line real quick. And when you do your number lines on your homework, make sure I can read them. I'm going to have 0 on this one and 2 and another open point. We'll see a closed one here in a second. Now I need to decide, well, a is bigger than 2. So I'm not really sure. This looks a little bit different than the other ones. I'm going to try plugging in 0. Is 0 greater than 2? Well, it's not, so it can't go to the left. Just to check, I'm going to pick like 4. Is 4 greater than 2? Well, that's true, so I'm going to draw my arrow in that direction, okay? So be careful when you're drawing those graphs. Once you practice and if you plug in numbers, it'll be really easy to get those right. Let's go on to number 5. And this one's got a little bit more to it, but we've solved problems just like this before. I have 2r minus 18 is less than or equal to 5r plus 3. Well, thank goodness there's no distribution or anything yet, but I do need to get my r's on the same side. Now, some of you may want to subtract 5r from both sides. I suggest subtracting 2r from both sides so that we can keep it positive. Okay, sorry, had a little pen problem there. So minus 2r on both sides. The 2r's cancel, which is what we want. Then I have negative 18 is less than or equal to, well, I have 5r minus 2r leaves me 3r plus 3. Now I need to continue to solve. It looks like I need to move my positive 3 to the other side, so I'm going to subtract it. And you could have done this in your first step, and that's totally fine. Negative 18 minus 3 is negative 21. Is less than or equal to, let's see, 3r, because the 3's cancel. So we're almost there. I mean, we've had a couple of steps, but the last step looks like it's going to be division. We've got to divide both sides by 3. Notice it's positive, so we don't have to flip anything. I'm going to have less than or equal to. I'm going to have r over here. Negative 21 divided by 3 is negative 7. So negative 7 is less than or equal to r. Let's draw our number line. I'm going to put 0 on there, and I need to put negative 7. Now this time it is different. It's less than or equal to, so we're going to have a closed point. Okay, we've got to figure out which way to go. So we could plug some stuff in. I think that's the easiest. Let's try 0. Is negative 7 less than or equal to 0? Well, yes, it is, so that must mean we draw ours this way. And just so you know, let's try another one. If we try -8, well, I would have -7 is less than or equal to -8, and that is not true. It may seem like it if it were the positives, but not in this one, okay? So that's no good. So there's your graph. Now let's get into kind of a long one. We've got some distribution we're going to have to do here. I'm going to go ahead and note that we have a just greater than sign, so it's going to be an open point when we graph it. So let's start off, guys. Let's just get the distribution done. We've done this the last few days. I've got 5 times k, which is 5k. 5 times positive 4 is plus 20. I've got -2 to distribute, so -2 times k is -2k. -2 times 6 is -12. That's greater than, I've got to distribute the 5. I've got 5 times k is 5k. 5 times 1 is 5. Minus 1. So guys, that was several steps to get all that work done, but none of it was very hard. It's just a little bit of multiplication. Now remember, just like with the equal sign, we need to work side to side. So I'm going to start over here on the left and say I've got a 5k and a minus 2k. 5k minus 2k is 3k. Then I've got 20 minus 12. 20 minus 12 is 8. So far so good. It's not too bad. Is greater than, well, I don't have anything else with k, so I'm just going to write 5k, but I have 5 minus 1 gives me plus 4. So now it looks like just like the one above it. We just got to finish solving. So I'm going to go ahead and move my 3k to the other side by subtraction. I know all I have is 8 on the left. 8 is greater than 5k minus 3k, 2k, plus 4. We're almost finished here, guys. I know this is a long one. Now I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. I need to solve for k. Now I have 4 is greater than 2k. And then we've seen this before. I divide both sides by what's in front of my variable, and I get 2 is greater than k. So guys, that's kind of a long one. If we were going to graph that really quick, I'm just going to throw it on here. I'd have 0, I'd have 2. Well, I plugged in 0, 2 is greater than 0. Absolutely it is. So it's going to go that way. If I plugged in 3, it'd be 2 is greater than 3, and that wouldn't work. So we got a couple more problems, guys. I know this is the longest one yet. We'll kind of hit some high points here, and let's finish it up. So let's go to the last page. I've got a couple left, and then we may... Actually, I'll tell you what, guys. We're going to end this video here. It's getting kind of long, so I'm going to make an A and a B. If you need the other one, just go to the next one. It'll say Notes 1-5B. Good luck.